Hey guys, Darth Sebious here. I just wanted to talk about the Imperial Truth today. This was one of the limited edition Horus Heresy novels originally available only at a Black Library event. It was part of the goodie bag. And then they recently, when they doing their redoing in the collector's editions, it was out for a very short period of time and was gone again. And both times I was unlucky. But lovingly, Dave Heretical Xenos has lent me his copy, which is wonderful. And it's taken me a while to get through it, so I'm going to be kind of doing one story at a time and getting a bit excited about them if they particularly tickle my fancy like the first one did. Let's have a little look at the cover. We've got the Custodes in the front there. I believe that's Stetenax on the edge of the wall, pulling a good old come at me bro. Really designed towards the Imperial Fists, and also got the lovely leather bound book itself with the embossed Aquila or Aquila. It's numbered inside with the limited edition there. This is 1897. Your black and white reprint of the cover inside, and then it doesn't have the artwork in the middle, but it does have a bunch of stories. You've got Hands of the Emperor by Rob Sanders, The Phoenician by Nick Kime, By the Lion's Command by Gav Thorpe, The Divine oh dear, Adoratrice by Graham Neal, Lord of the Red Sands by Aaron Detsky Bowden, and All That Remains by James Swallow. And I wanted to talk about the Emperor's Hands. That's what it's called. Yeah, Hands of the Emperor by Rob Sanders, which is where this artwork comes from. So Stetenax, Shield Captain Stetenax, he is Custodes, Legio Custodes, the gold, even slightly better than Space Marine guardians of the Emperor and his Imperial Palace. He is Master of the Watch for the first time. Oh, should say, spoilers, I'm going to tell the story and just get rather excited about it and say a few interesting things about it, so there are going to be spoilers for this story here. But there you go. So Stetenax, it's his first time being Master of the Watch, which means he has complete control and is in charge of the entire palace security and protocols and all that complicated stuff. So he goes about his day, talks to the head of the Custodes, and they have a little chat about how the Blood Games are going. The Blood Games, obviously, are the Custodes event that they have where various Custodes go off and then try and infiltrate and essentially attempt to assassinate the Emperor to find holes in their defences. Obviously, they're not going to actually assassinate the Emperor, they just want to see where they need to close some gaps up. Because that's the obsession of the Custodes, is security and the Emperor, and just making sure that shit is locked down. That is the raison d'etre for the Custodes, other than looking nice and golden shiny with their bolter halberds and goodness. So he goes on his way, he has that chat about the Blood Games, and there's one guy still not been accounted for. And it's Stetenax himself who's pretty much got the furthest that anyone else has got before by climbing an insane wall, part of a ziggurat, to get into the palace itself. He also meets up with one of the authorities from the Sisters of Silence, and she's obviously getting her battle cant, talking to him because obviously she doesn't speak, although she does have her assistant to speak for her, and they go for a little stroll to the edge of the walls. And it's at this point that she kind of gives him a proper tap on the shoulder and points up in the sky, because there is an orbital plate being a giant conurbation, an urban populated plate that is in the airspace, and it is coming towards the palace, which is not good because it's not in the books. That's things not in the books are really not good for the Custodes. They don't like that. And it turns out it has been requisitioned by the Imperial Fists, who, as we all know at this point, are essentially crying over the fact that the palace is so beautiful and they need to bolster it and make it more hardy because Horus and that lot are coming. So they kind of share their time between crying about how beautiful the wall is and how terrible what they're doing is, and then reinforcing it. Or now, as it seems, going toe-to-toe with Custodes, which is always fun. So Stetenax gets involved, focuses over to the plate. So this is not not happening. This has not been sanctioned. Apparently still in session. It's been sent away for review and pending kind of a referendum on whether it's a good idea to bring millions of indentured workers in an orbital plate over the palace, which sounds like a bit of a security risk. And it definitely seems like a security risk to the Custodes. So they vox the Imperial Fists and they say, you need to stop. And they're like, nope, Dawn has said this is coming, we need to do this to do the wall, and we need the people, so it's happening. Sednax is not very happy about this, so gets the guys together and they decide they are going to fire on the plate, open a hole, get themselves in, and they're going to try and take the Imperial Fist down with the least blood as possible. And there is a no-kill order, but they can rough them up as much as their as their pride maintains. So they get aboard, and all the engineering decks seem to be deserted. It's a bit of a ghost town, tumbleweed and things rolling around. And the Imperial Fists then vox them, tell them they have the chance to get off, to which they refuse. So the Imperial Fists blow out the engineering decks, engineering, and they fall through. Not blowing up the Custodes themselves, but dropping a large number of them through the bottom of the plate. Now the orbital plate itself has its own orbital field to catch debris and things like that. So we now have Custodes orbiting the orbital plate, spinning, smashing into stuff, and just generally wonderful, beautiful image of these Custodes just spinning helplessly around this orbital plate. Sednax manages to kind of save himself and a few others, including a Foot Knight Vega, who is kind of an awesome type of Custodes that have a big, huge shield and are rather badass. I think I want to do Wolf and the Raven with Ian at some point, talking about the Custodes, because they're very interesting and they don't necessarily get enough attention because they are cool. And there's lots of very interesting things about them. So I want to get into that. So yes, Vega and Sednax, and a few others, they manage to get on the plate. They have some fisticuffs and some bold battling with some Imperial Fists and take a few down. And what they actually do is they knock them off with the shield and chuck a few of the unconscious guys off the plate as well. So we now have Imperial Fists and Custodes in a yellow, gold and wonderful halo tumbling around this orbital plate. More Imperial Fists come and they take Sednax and the Custodes into custody, where Cataflac, the Imperial Fist commander there, is like, this is happening. Come to peace with it. This needs to be done. Like, we don't need to be fighting each other, especially at this ridiculous time of the heresy and bad stuff happening. Come on, mate. Just trying to sort the wall out. And the Custodes are rather indignant, but no one wants any more bloodshed or anything going on. So they're a bit of a stalemate until the Sister of Silence foxes through and basically says, there's millions of people coming. We don't know if there are unsanctioned psychers or mutants or anything bad on this. This is a massive security problem, and the Sisters of Science are now going to be taking them off somewhere to screen them psychically to make sure there's nothing bad going on. So the Sisters of Science have intervene and kind of placate the situation by arresting the plate, essentially, and everyone sort of has to calm down a bit. And it all seems to be over. The Master of the Watch heads back, and he actually gets assigned as his own personal sentry is Vega the Foot Knight, which he thinks is rather odd. And suddenly something clicks in the back of his mind, and he kind of goes to attack Vega, which all seems rather odd. And then Vega kicks off. He's stabbing people. He's attacking his guard. It's not until he kind of got Terminators with incinerators pointed at his face and pinned down that he finally gives up. And it's revealed that he is the last Custode that has been out on the Blood game, and he has got ridiculously far. He was trying to use Sednax's protocols and while he would be travelling across the palace to get so deep into the palace, which is crazy and really showing how dressing up as the Custodes could be a really good thing for traders to do. And with the Purge, as I talked about before, is all about infiltration and things like that. So I look forward to seeing more about that. But not only is Vega this Custodes that has on his Blood game he's been a very busy chap. So he, oh, I forgot to mention. Well, while the Custodes have been arrested and everyone's orbiting, he's pleading with the Imperial Fists to activate the gravity anchor, so the plate will drop and the people can then drop and sort of tuck and roll and everything be safe, rather than dropping in from the ridiculous height that they are. And that magically seems to happen, and we're not sure why. And it is because Vega has been a very busy boy. He managed to infiltrate on the plate as he is saved by Stepnax. He also somehow managed to get to the engineering decks and turn on the gravity anchor. He also somehow managed to secretly communicate to the Citizens of Silence, which made them intercede in the first place, resolving the matter. And then also he stabbed a few Custodes in the back and tried to do his blood game goodness. So that's kind of crazy. I love this. I like seeing terror. There's not really enough terror. When I read The Outcast Dead by Graham McNeil, it kind of blew my mind seeing terror and the Petitioner's City and the Palace really for the first proper significant time in the Horus Heresy. And it's nice to see some more stuff there. And just seeing the Custodes, because the Legio Custodes are a very interesting golden bunch. I believe they are a slightly bit better than or harder than Space Marines. They are the similar sort of thing, but there's not as many of them, and they are the Emperor's Elite Guard. And seeing them arguing with their slightly less shiny but equally as bright yellow counterparts in the Imperial Fists over protocols and doing things, it's just amazing. And just the fact that the cover has the greatest Kamatmi Bro as Stepnax on the wall pulling a Kamatmi Bro to the Imperial Fists. Well, or do not Kamatmi Bro. Actually, in fact, it's the opposite. It's a do not bring that plate to me, bro stance. And it's just kind of awesome. Rob Sanders is a very interesting story there. And you just get to see... I'm just enjoying there's so much conflict, even within the loyalists. It's just kind of funny seeing them grind up against each other. But I have to say, I don't know, I'm interested. I'd like to hear what you think. Do you come down on the Custodes side or the Imperial Fist side? Because I understand that the wall needs to be worked upon, and lots of workers coming there is a really good idea to a certain extent. But then I really do see the Custodes point of view, and I think the Custodes point of view is the one that I agree with, is that you can't be bringing millions of indentured workers up to the Imperial Palace that haven't been properly security screened. There's been a minor sort of corporate screening process that they've gone through, but that's not really enough to be sure. And it seems that Vega was on that plate, so there was someone trying to infiltrate the Imperial Palace on the plate, being brought by the Imperial Fists, but they happened to be a Custodes in the first place. Which is just kind of an amusing sort of situation. But yeah, where do you stand on that? It's an interesting one. I can't wait to read some more of those and eventually get to the Purge. And like I said, my brain is kind of having trouble with chronic fatigue and stuff with reading, but I have treated myself to a bunch of audio dramas and audio books, so I look forward to giving them a listen and giving them a bit of a review later. But really, I just wanted to get on and do some videos. It's been a while since I've been away with LFCC goodness and stuff. So yeah, that is Hands of the Emperor, The Imperial Truth. Hopefully looking at more of those stories at some point soon. I'm Darth Sebious, as always, for alliesindex.com, post for everything geeky gaming. If you want to get involved, just send us a message or submit something. If you want to get involved on a more regular basis, sharing anything from reviews of books, of games, of experiences, of characters, models, anything geeky gaming goodness is more than welcome. And we would love to have you there. That's alliesindex.com. And hopefully, now that I've done a couple of videos, I will get back in the habit of doing more videos soon. And I know Sarah and I plan a sit in the Cylon talking about the Destiny beta, and I'm sure beta, and pronunciations. We're international in Alice Index, so all sorts of pronunciations are fine. And also, obviously, there's the new Frontiers Edge Titanfall DLC that is some exciting stuff I might want to talk about. And there's going to be some Wolf and the Raven, maybe a short thing talking about the joy of squigs, because there are many uses of squigs that can be rather exciting. And as I said, Custodes as well, something we might talk about another time. But I'm rambling a bit now. AlexIndex.com, I'm Darth Sebious, and I will catch you guys later.